I'm Sid, and these are my best friends. My mom, Kim, my dad, Ty, my sister, Maddie, and our salty dog, Stella. We started our adventure refitting a Lagoon 450 before taking on the massive project of resurrecting a sunken 2021 Leopard 50. It's been one heck of a ride, but we're on this adventure to die with memories, not dreams, and live dauntless.
All right, we're back here at Hooker Electric Day for a really important reason. After installing the 3 air conditioners on the starboard side of the boat and running that Hooker electric pump for the last 5 months, we know it works, and it works great. So the guys here at Hooker Electric reached out, and they think they have an even better solution for our air conditioning. So let's go inside, let's talk to Frank, and hear what their suggestion is for our air conditioning system. All right, guys, this is Frank here at Hooker Electric, and he contacted me after we came and bought our first pump, and he saw our video just like you guys did. And he said, hey, I think we might have a better solution for you guys. Even though the pump does work, and I think it works out great, this is a better solution for what we're trying to do. So, Frank, tell us why you suggested this.
Yeah, for sure. So, obviously, like you said, I saw his video. I was really impressed. I had no idea who they were, and then I stumbled across them on YouTube. So that was pretty cool. So I talked to the boss. He said, I have a great idea for what they're trying to do. Let's hook them up with another pump for redundancy and a sea chest. So our sea chests are great because, like I said, it creates redundancy. You can have multiple pumps on here. They even have a pump right here, a Dixie pump for the water maker. It's nice because you can put 2 different through holes. Sometimes we even have sea chests that have option for 4 through holes if you needed to. You can pull for your raw water distribution, ice maker, whatever. This is the way to go. Ty's actually going to have a implemented inline strainer in the sea chest as well, which is really nice, especially because his application is using it for AC units. So
absolutely, we get a lot of build up and debris, so we want to be able to make sure that we can do that.
But yeah, I mean, overall, it's a 316 stainless steel box. You're not going to have to worry about any corrosion. It's fully passivated and powder coated, so it's going to look good in the boat. It's going to work very good for what you're using it for, and yeah, I think you'll be very impressed with it.
I'm really looking forward to it. So we're going to put a barnacle busting loop in this so we can actually fill this sea chest full of barnacle busting solution and recirculate. So I'm really excited about that. And also, we are going to take our secondary pump for redundancy, and we're going to turn these into crash pumps. So can you tell us about what you guys sell this pump as a crash pump in addition to obviously a bait circulation?
Yeah, so we do sell a crash pump. Actually, it's this unit right here.
Okay.
The only difference is this has a 5-wire on it to control the variable flow in it.
Okay.
The crash pump is a 2-wire pump with a little basket strainer on it. So you can just kind of throw it wherever in the case that you're sinking. As well as we have an upgraded impeller on the crash pump. I don't know if Tom ever told you about that.
I have the closed end impeller on our current. Is that what it
you
has?
do?
Yep.
So this does not,
Okay.
which is easy. I can just take the impeller off and change that out.
So we can
for it.
swap them. And what does
Exactly.
the closed end impeller do?
So the closed impeller makes a 7,500 gallon per hour pump go to 10,000 gallons per hour.
Oh wow.
So it ups the pressure a little bit as well as the flow. The only drawback is you're going to pull a little bit more amperage for that pump. It goes from a 40 amp pump to a 50 amp pump at full blast.
And what's amazing is we are running this pump currently with the closed end at 50%. We're running 3 air conditioning units, and it's pulling about 230 watts an hour is all it's producing, which is significantly less than any air conditioning pump that we would put in there anyway.
For sure.
So we can run obviously a closed end for our air conditioning.
Yeah.
And can we see that strainer?
Yeah.
That,
I actually have one right here.
oh, perfect. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to put one of these in one hole and one of these in the other, so we can run some valves. If we ever need to use this as an emergency pump, we can just flip the switch, and this pump will be in our port hole, and this pump will be on our starboard hole running the air conditioning unit. So I'm really excited about that to, one, use way less energy to be able to move, because moving to DC air conditioning, there's not a whole lot of DC pumps that'll move this kind of water. So it took us, you were the 7th pump that we tried that everyone said would work, and your pump actually did what it advertised. So I'm super stoked about that.
Right.
So I've got DC pump for my DC air conditioners. I've got variable speed so I can control how fast these pumps run, so I'm only using energy that I need. I've got a crash pump option to be able to save the boat. God forbid anything happens.
And a place to put the pump for the water maker.
That's right. And a water maker pump. I think that this is going to solve many, many problems. I really appreciate everything you guys have done. I appreciate you guys reaching out. I'm so excited about the solution, and we will absolutely keep you in the loop and show you how it works, and we'll be reporting back. All right, so I misspoke. When I bought my first pump, it was Hooker Electric.
Yep.
And they've since changed the name just the beginning of this year to Hooker Pump. So please disregard my not paying attention. We will, of course, put links down in the description, but what's the best way for everybody to get hold of you?
You can just give us a call at the shop at Hooker Pumps. Number's 954-530-6908, or you can visit us on our online store. It's hookerpumps.com.
Perfect. All right, thank you again so much, and I look forward to it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Appreciate it.
Let's do it. All right, so I'm down here in the starboard hull, midship, where the bilge is at. This is underneath the owner's head. And I want to show you what we are starting with and what the plan is to be able to reroute this stuff. I had not counted on having a sea chest to begin with. And so I laid out kind of my workspace a little bit differently. And I'll show you how I'm going to rework this. Now I have made some temporary wiring changes here shortly. So kind of disregard that. That is all going to change, of course. But if I flip this camera around. All right, so here is just a support wall. This is the shower sump. And then I built this board last year, if you guys remember, and this is the manifold system. This was the 1-inch through hole that I put in strictly for air conditioning, which was not enough. And you can see it's disconnected now and just shut off. This over here was 1.5 inches through hole for a waste. So I've temporarily converted this over because we do not have our waste hose hook up. And this is providing 1.5 inch line up to this strainer. Now this strainer is nowhere near large enough to be able to handle this capacity. Yes, it says that it goes to 1.5 inches and the hoses do fit on it. However, there's so much restriction that it really is choking back the actual aircon system. Now, it comes down here through this hooker pump, and there is a potentiometer right here that I can control the flow of water. Now, it is a little bit loud down here, and that's really mostly coming from the fact that I'm getting a little bit of restriction, and it's warming up, and the sea strainer's clogging very, very quickly, so I get a little bit of resistance, and the sound gets a little bit noisier, or it starts to elevate. Now, back to this. So from this pump, it comes out of here and runs through a shutoff. Now this is all 1.5 inch material to here. This is a 1-inch through hole, and then this was running to 3 aircon units. So we have got our 5/8 unit, our 5/8 hose that runs to an 8,000 BT unit, and 3/4 inch hose that runs to our 2 ACs, that one in the salon and one in the owner's cabin. Now this is the manifold that I intended on using a flush and return line for our barnacle busting. And I'm going to change that because we're now going to be using the sea chest. So I'm going to push out through all of the main valves one at a time to feed the barnacle busting solution. And then I'm going to collect everything back into a smaller manifold where all those lines come back together and there's a single return line. And I'll show you that here in a little bit. But this is the current layout. I had intended on maybe putting the sea chest right here above where the bilge pump is at. The problem is I can't make this turn to come into the side of this tank. And because I can't make that 90-degree turn, I don't want to put any hard 90s on it. I want some nice smooth curves. So here's the plan. The manifold that I'm about to build is going to go on this wall. I'm going to relocate the shower pump over here, and then I'm going to put a platform here for the sea chest to sit here. So we'll get a nice easy curve into the side of the manifold from here, and then the outfeed from the pump will come here over to the manifold. Or the outfeed from the sea chest, will come from here over to the manifold and have a nice sweeping turn into here. This whole space down here is about 43 by 43 inches. It's a little tight, but it's definitely going to be manageable. And where I'm sitting right here, I'm going to be able to service the unit and still be able to sit down here comfortably and clean the sea strainer and do all that stuff. So let's go over to the utility room. I've got a bunch of equipment laid out and a bunch of parts laid out, and I'm going to go through how that manifold is going to go together, and then we'll move through getting these mounting boards made. All right, I'm going to show you really quick why this manifold system is super important. We have 1-inch pipe that is our current manifold that's feeding down to 3/4 and so on and so forth to feed all of this. The problem we've got is that we've got 1.5 inch water feed, and these high flow, low pressure pumps cannot have any level of restriction, otherwise they don't work properly. And putting a 1-inch manifold system, you can see the size of that, it's too much restriction. So I could go up to 1.5 inches, and that's kind of like this big, but they recommended I go all the way to 2-inch. So here is the 1-inch and there is the 2-inch. It's quite a bit more than twice. And this should remove all the backflow restriction 100% or nearly 100%. And then we're only worried about the small amount of restriction through the lines. Also, everything is going to be on a sweeping 90s and sweeping T's. Instead of having a hard 90, it's a bigger sweep curve. We're going to use this type of elbows and fittings to help reduce drag, and then everything else will be done with a hose. So every effort is made to reduce 90-degree restrictions or T's when possible and increase the amount of curves that are in the system just to reduce back pressure. And that should be all the answers to our problems. All right, I'm gonna put some of this stuff away, mock up this manifold, and show you what it looks like. I gotta ventilate because I'm pretty sure these fumes are gonna be nasty. All right, there we go. Perfectly straight. Love it. All right, guys, thank goodness for a wide angle lens, right? So this manifold right here, it should be everything I need to feed all of the air conditioners with one pump. And the way this is kind of set up here is that I've got an intake that's going to come off of our sea chest that's going to be right here. This is 1.5 inch pipe. I'm then bumping this up to a 2-inch manifold. So there's going to be, again, 1.5 inch pipe from the pump just to here. And then we're going to fill this entire cavity full, 2-inch cavity full of water by flooding it is what the way they describe it. So we'll have a ball valve so I can isolate the system if necessary, so I can turn this off. But it's going to make a nice sweeping curve, and it's going to run in here. And the first 4, my plan is to have for the larger air conditioners that are the 16,000 BTUs. There's 3 of those and 112. That is going to be connected with 3/4 inch supply hose to get there. And then the two smaller 8000 BT units have significantly less water demand. So those are just going to be standard 5/8 hose, like most of these air conditioners are set up to run. All right, so right here at the end, this 2 inch to 1.5 inch fitting is going to have another barbed connection on it that looks like this guy right here. Okay, and I'm going to put 1.5 inch hose on this on the other end with a ball valve to isolate off the end, and this is going to run to 1.5 inch through hole that's above the water line. Now this is where the crash pump comes in. I will show you, probably going to get to it next week as far as the sea chest going in and how that is all plumbed, but I will have a bypass so that I can pull water from inside the boat, shutting off the raw water from outside. I can pull water from inside the boat, which will then run through the sea chest and with a filter. So if I get any debris, God forbid we have any intrusion, that will act as the screen or the strainer to filter out anything so nothing gets caught in the impeller of the pump. And I'm going to run that through this system. I can close these valves right here and open this guy up on this end, and that will immediately just dump all of that water directly overboard. So that's how the crash pump is going to be integrated into the air conditioning manifold system. Now on the other side of the boat, when we get to that, you'll see that that's going to be straightforward. It's just going to be a straight pump setup with 1.5 inch through hole, again above the water line, with the speed of the pump set all the way to max. So if I flip on the switch, it'll immediately start pumping overboard. These pumps are fully submersible. In fact, my understanding is they actually put them in agricultural tanks with all kinds of chemicals and what have you, and they are just about bulletproof. So if the bilge fills up full of water past the height of the sea chest or the pump, because I've got waterproof connectors, or I will have waterproof connectors on the pump supplies, the entire bilge space in theory could take on water and completely submerge those pumps, and the pumps can continue to work without getting shorted out. So I think that's kind of I hope it never happens, but I'm going to spend the extra day or so to make sure that all of that stuff is a possibility and just kind of a peace of mind thing. So if you think this kind of redundancy or protection is unreasonable, tell me. Or if you like it, please tell me in the comments. I really kind of think that it's better to have it than not, and not need it than the other way around. And maybe I'm overthinking this, so let me know what you guys think. As far as everything else goes, I'm going to take this down into the space on the other side of the boat. I'm going to take you with me. We're going to trial fit this in and just make sure we've got enough space to do what I want it to do. Let's go. All right, I was trying to lower this down in here, and most of this is glued together, but not all of it is, and I dropped it, and I broke part of it. I snapped off this fitting right here, but this is what I'm looking for, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. Yeah, I think so. So I'll be able to come all the way over here to this wall, and yeah, I think that's gonna just fit in this space. I think I am gonna have to come over here, and where this comes through the wall, I'm gonna put a sweeping 90 on that, and I'm gonna pass that 90 through this support right here. I'll just have to drill a hole with the hole saw so that it can pass through and then run out over here on the right to the through hole on the outside of the boat. But I think that's gonna work. I've got this section that's right up here, which is a drop down reinforcement section for the floor. And my plan is to bring those hoses up, make a nice even curve, and then pass it through this here with some individual holes, and keep everything nice and tidy and tucked up on the bottom of the floor above me. But it's gonna be tight, but it'll fit.